for Marcus Avery. Is Mr. Avery here? Calling Marcus, he is not here. Okay. So let's move on to the next one, which is 157 Transparent Hawke's Bay Incorporated, Mrs. Pauline Elliott. Seven.
Thank you.
And good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you.
10 minutes, the usual story.
Yep.
8 minutes, and if you wish us to ask you questions, please allow some time. So, time is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and councillors, for the opportunity to make this presentation on behalf of Transparent Hawke's Bay. Transparent Hawke's Bay is not an anti-dam lobby group. It's an incorporated society. It has a small core group of members and a much wider support base, or base of supporters, in excess of 100. Our stated aim and our sole focus is to ensure integrity through transparent processes, reliable information and meaningful public involvement in decisions that affect the people of Hawke's Bay. And I'm sure you will agree this is one of them, but we just want to stress again that we are not an anti-dam lobby group. We are, however, opposed to this regional council investing $80 million in this dam at this time, and for the reasons listed in our written submission. And I'd also like to add that we believe this round of consultation is premature and unreasonable. And just to quote Judge McGeechan, who has been referred to in your paper about what consultation is and is not, he also adds that implicit in the concept of consultation is a requirement that the party consulted will be adequately informed so as to be able to make intelligent and useful response. In June of last year, at the time of Ms Lambert's appointment as interim CE and being charged with the task of guiding this decision through to a conclusion, we met with Liz. I don't know if you recall that, Liz, but we met with you and talked about independent advice, peer review and public consultation. And to clarify for everybody, really, Liz came up with this very neat diagram, and it talks about resource management, it talks about securing investors, about design and construction, water uptake, and then in the middle it has final phase. The final phase is for HBRC to present a business case and a recommendation to this council, and that HBRC asks for public input. Of course, that hasn't happened. It is our contention, in fact, that at no time has there been sufficient information on this table to consider the merits of this investment. You are asking the public to make that decision or that recommendation based on information that no private or corporate investor would consider close to adequate. There is no final Board of Inquiry decision. This council and HBRC have said that the final decision could have a significant impact on the viability of the dam, and we have no idea what impact that might be or what costs might be involved. There is no certainty around investors, financial structures, and nor even a firm and final price for the building of the dam. Back in October 2012, the project was estimated, at the time of the long-term plan, the project was estimated at $170 million. It now stands at $275 million, and I've recently read $297 million, but there is still not a confirmed contract for design and build price. It's perhaps worth noting also that back in October of 2012, HBRC presented a budget of $8.1 million for this project, including the EPA process. In May 2013, it was $9.3 million. By December 2013, it was $11.2 million. In May of this year, and as it stands now, it is $13.6 million. Now, there will, of course, be all sorts of valid reasons for such cost overruns, but what level of confidence can we have that this trend does not continue, or that there is escalation on all sorts of other levels? At financial close, which is now anticipated to be 30th of September, Deloitte's peer review suggests that the final structure and economic impacts could be very different. I have only just heard this morning that there will be a further review by Deloitte, but the public won't get that opportunity. I was very pleased to hear Councillor Barker seek assurance this morning that that peer review would take into account any new nutrient levels decided by the board. Our written submission refers to some very misleading assumptions made by Butcher and promoted by this council and HBRC around the job numbers that this scheme would create. As far back as September 2012, this council stated in our place that this scheme would bring 630 new jobs on farms, except they were not on farms. 500 of them were in orchards, and the proposal of 1,695 hectares of new grape planting. So that's 80% of the stated number in casual labour jobs of thinning, pruning and picking, even though different reports told us the maximum grapes would be less than 300 hectares to be sustainable or productive. To be fair, when I made this challenge through the Board of Inquiry, Mr Butcher's response was that if grapes and apples were excluded, it would not impact on the financial benefits of the project, only on jobs and added value, like household income. But in fact, jobs are what have been promised and widely promoted throughout this whole process. There's been no alternative scenario of further modelling that indicates these job numbers exist in other land uses, or the extrapolation of them into processing and tonnage through the port. Finally, I would like to comment on the submission process. For a budget of $85,000 and a very long list of meetings, presentations, flyers, ad, Facebook pages, etc., I am sure that you will agree that, with me, in fact, that a total of 199 submissions on this project of national significance is appalling. I note here that 89 of those submissions for the dam come from Waipokora or Waipawa, and many of these are one-liners: build the dam, go for it, this town needs it. And I just wonder how many of these have been influenced by the feel-good marketing campaign that has surrounded this project. PR that has been purely promotional, presented by this council, the regulator and investor. And I want to make it very clear here to the comms team, and I think, Helen, you're the only one here, but I want to make it very clear that I think the comms team has done an outstanding job. You do the work you're told to do, and you deliver the message, and you have delivered the messages brilliantly. We don't agree with the objectivity or the integrity of those messages, but we're not going to shoot the messenger. For Transparent Hawke's Bay's part, many of our members and supporters used the Green Party online submission form, and some are still not aware that they will not be counted individually. I am not a Green Party member or aligned to the Green Party, but our Transparent Hawke's Bay Facebook page led people to either the HBRC website or the Greens website. Nearly 100 submissions came through that Green website, and as far as anyone can ascertain, there was no indication anywhere that they would not be accepted as individual submissions. Could I also add that it was not possible for most to complete their submission online using the HBRC form, which was in PDF format. So it required printing off, completing by hand, and then posting or scanning to email. And I raise this because it might be something that would be worth considering in the future. And I would like to add just one final thing, and I know my time's running out, But from day one, which for me started with the initial proposal of this dam in the long-term plan, this whole project and process has been less than transparent. At times it has been disingenuous and heavily biased. Any question or challenge has been treated with disdain and sometimes with open hostility. I do not make this claim against any staff member, all of whom I have found to be helpful and courteous without exception. But the councillors who have sat around this table here now and in the past have been dismissive of concerns, and that culture has been around for quite some time. It is nothing new. And I would just like to say thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Perfect timing. So thank you, Mrs. Elliott, for a very thorough presentation and submission. Thank you.